Warning. The podcast you're about to listen to contains foul language and subjects that are not really suitable for everyone. Basically, if you get offended by words like shit, fuck, ass, dick, cunt, and aren't really a fan of crude humor, then we suggest that you stop being such a fucking close-minded pussy and listen to our podcast anyway. You've been warned.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Trying to blow up like nitro and dynamite sticks. Yeah, that's no hydro, rock diamonds, that's sick. Got paid off my flow, rock with my own clip. We can settle with the chrome and metal shit. I make it hot like a kettle kit. Who sent you? The modern Maverick. Who sent you? The modern Maverick. Kick in the door, waving the 4-4. All you heard was no, hit me no more. Kick in the door, waving the 4-4.
Oh, shit. It's that time of week again. It's time for another episode of the Modern Maverick Podcast. I'm your host, Maverick himself, and joining me, the always entertaining, funny JFlynn.
What's up? Happy New Year.
Happy 2015, people. This is the first episode of the new year, so Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, John.
Thank you, sir. What a fuckfest 2015's been, though, so far, eh?
It's been
Jesus.
fucked up. We have a lot of things to talk about, so we're going to try to cram it into the next hour and a half. 2015 so far has been Foxville, basically, in sports, in life, in the world, in everything. A lot of things went on this week.
Yeah.
A lot of shitty things.
Yeah.
So let's get right into it. And let's start off with one of my favorite subjects from this week. One that I've been asked about on many occasions because many of my friends and many of my coworkers know that I am passionate about the subject. And that is the Jon Jones Fiasco. Mm-hmm. Last Saturday, Jon Bones Jones defeated...
I got a soundtrack for you as you introduce the story.
Jon Bones Jones defeated quite easily, I might add, surprisingly easily, number one contender, Daniel DC Cormier at UFC 182. I was a bit surprised about the performance. I honestly thought DC Cormier would put up more of a fight, but nonetheless, Johnny Bones Jones defeated him, retained his title. And as we all know now, people that follow the MMA world, 2 days later, Mr. Jon Bones Jones checked himself into rehab for That's right. He's in love with the cocoa. Mr. Jones seems to have a cocaine problem that came about 2 days after his win. He checked himself into rehab. And I guess that's about all we know right now. The information I've read is that on December 4th, during his preparation for his UFC 182 title defense, he was randomly drug tested. Mm-hmm. He tested positive for a substance which is found in cocaine. Mm-hmm. And that was it, basically. And the Nevada Athletic Commission didn't penalize him because the substance isn't. Number one, they say it was tested, and that sort of things they found in his bloodstream is is non-punishable outside of competent
exactly.
And
the test they took wasn't even supposed to be for anything that was outside of performance-enhancing drugs. So technically, they shouldn't have even revealed the results. Apparently, there was a screw up there.
There was a screw up because they also tested him for testosterone.
Yeah,
which apparently now, I don't know if you heard, but apparently there's some anomalies also in that test result that might prove that he's also juicing.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh, I did not hear
I do
that.
not know how accurate or if there's any backbone to that story, but yesterday I was listening to it was Rogan's last podcast. He had Brian Stan on, and they were talking about it in details, and apparently there is something to say about the testosterone level, and that what they found might prove that he's trying to mask usage of HGH or anything. And they also found that metabolite, that cocaine metabolite.
Jesus.
Now, here's my issue, and here's what I've been debating, but not really debating, on Twitter and on Facebook and with my colleagues and friends is, so December 4th, he tested positive for this cocaine metabolite. So basically, it's only found in cocaine or in anything that could be prescribed by a doctor. Okay. We all know that he doesn't get any prescription drugs. It's easy to find out, right? So the other thing, he's doing cocaine. Plus, he's checking himself into rehab, so he's admitting to doing cocaine.
Yeah.
Right? There's a few things. Number one, cocaine stays in your system only like 4 or 5 days, apparently. Okay. That means that on like 4 to 5 days before, he was partying somewhere. And somebody checked apparently where he was, and I think he was in Brazil doing some
cocaine.
Apparently doing some cocaine. Though I think he was doing some thing for the UFC maybe, but I'm not sure. Anyway, that's beside the point. So the Nevada Athletic Commission stated that they didn't stop the fight because it was out of competition testing, and that sort of metabolite isn't punishable out of competition. Now,
I had no idea about this, by the way.
But you know what? So then I checked into what were the in competition. Apparently, in competition means 12 hours prior to your competition, meaning your fight, and 12 hours after. So basically, that 24-hour window, then when you're fighting, 12 hours before, 12 hours after, that's in competition.
Really?
So basically, if you test positive for cocaine, because they did a test right after your fight and you test positive, that means you were doing it in competition. Because
that's suspendable.
That's suspendable, just like weed is, right?
So outside of competition, weed is not suspendable.
Apparently. But what these fuckers don't realize is that marijuana, the cannabinoids, the cannabis metabolites stay in your system because in up to 6 to 8 weeks, because they stay in your fatty tissues.
Okay.
It's not like cocaine. So when Nick Diaz got popped, was it after his the loss to Condit, right?
Yeah.
Right. He got popped. He obviously got suspended for a year because they say he was in competition, because they tested him after the fight and it came out that he did have those metabolites.
But technically, though, it could have been a month before that he smoked his last joint.
Exactly. But it's in his bloodstream. So for them, it's in competition because they tested within that time frame.
I get you. Well, that makes a little bit more sense than coke being okay and weed being not okay, because when I heard the news, that was my first reaction. I think you as well, from what I saw on Facebook.
As far as the commission is concerned, if that's the explanation, then I think they need to increase their knowledge on what I just told you.
Yeah.
Weed stays in your system longer, so you guys are going to have to find a different type of testing. The issue I'm having right now is the way the UFC is dealing with it, because they do have, outside of the Nevada or any athletic commission, they do have a code of conduct.
Yeah.
And if you break that code of conduct, we've seen in the past, such as Anthony Johnson being suspended or removed from the roster when his, what was it? I won't say wife beating, but he had some issue. Allegedly, some, whatever you call it.
Domestic violence.
That's right. Same thing with Michael Johnson, which was just reinstated into the UFC because he had a pending case about the same thing. Now, that falls into the code of conduct. That doesn't fall into any state athletic commission. Now, the UFC seems to be backing up Jon Jones because he came out and said, I'm going to rehab. Now, you and I know, I think we're smart enough to know that the coming out and saying I'm going to rehab is basically a PR stunt.
Oh, yeah.
He's not really in rehab. If he is, he'll be there 2 days and he'll be out. This is a totally PR stunt because he wants to make himself look good.
And Dana's trying to save some face too, because the quote I read from Dana White regarding that, as a human being, I am concerned for Jon Jones, the human being, and he needs help. Oh, I wanted to fucking puke, dude. He needs that much help, but you know what? We knew about this a month ago, but we're gonna go ahead with the fight anyway.
Dana White knew December 4th that he
but
tested
he
positive.
really needs help now. Now it's urgent. A
Yeah,
month after the
before
fact,
that,
after we've made our money.
That's right.
Bullshit.
Now, here's the funny thing. I was listening to another Rogan's podcast, the one before he had Brian Stan on. I don't remember who he had on, but he was doing his podcast live, and he found out about the news about Jones live on the podcast.
Okay.
And the guy, Red Band, his partner on podcast, read him the quote that Dana White said. Although we are disappointed, we respect and we whatever. Just being PC about the whole thing. And Rogan's reaction was priceless. He said, okay, that's what you say in front of the cameras, but I can't wait to have a talk with Dana on the phone about something that I'm not going to be able to share with you guys, because I'm pretty sure he's not going to be that PC.
No.
And I'm pretty sure the UFC as an organization is pissed. They're pound for pound best fighter in the world. Their champion just got busted for, and now you got to work around it. Now, how is the UFC supposed to deal with it? Because I've seen way less from fighters and be either suspended or put. Do you take the strap away from him? Do you just suspend him, or what do you do? Because if you suspend him, you can't just suspend him and say keep the championship.
No,
you suspend him and take it away.
If we're gonna follow suit with what they've done before, like you say, to other fighters who we can argue,
but it's never happened to a champion.
It's never happened to a champion, so we've never put in this position. But I mean, if fair is fair, then you suspend the guy.
Suspend him and let him keep, and then do like an
and then you have an interim
championship.
championship, and then 6 months, 9 months, a year when he's back, and then he fights to have his title back in an interim unification title fight, I guess.
Here's the issue I have with that. Okay. So basically, you're giving Jon Jones a break because he gets to keep his title. You get to suspend him.
Well, he hasn't lost it.
He hasn't lost it, but the only other guy that I saw having his title stripped was Dominic Cruz, because he was inactive for like 3 years. Mm-hmm. That's the only other time I saw the UFC strip a title. Yeah. They didn't just create an interim. They gave
at a certain
then they said Barao is the real champion.
Yeah, because it had been over 2 years.
Which, by the way, he got injured again.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard.
Yeah, I think it's over for.
He says no. He says it's part of the game. I was like, dude, you fought once in the last 3 years, and you're injured to an ACL that you've destroyed 2 or 3 times now.
Like every time.
But beside the point, I'm not happy with how the UFC seems to be taking this matter so maybe they're not behind closed door, but I think they should be presenting a way harsher punishment, or saying at least we'll deal with the matter when he's out of rehab or in 28 days, whatever it is. But they don't. They seem to want to.
It's a Sandra Bullock reference, isn't it?
Yeah, right there. They seem to want to just wait it out and hope that it goes away and people forget about it.
Yeah, just sweep it under the rug. Dude, let's be honest. To be straight up, 2014 was the worst year for UFC since like 2005 as far as pay-per-view revenue is concerned. And the last 2 years, they've lost their biggest draws, and George St. Pierre, Brock Lesnar before that, Anderson Silva. I mean, the mystery's gone. The man's been beaten twice. They can't afford to lose John Bones Jones. They can't afford to lose the guy. And this whole this is a PR stunt as far as sending him to rehab. As far as we know, he's a guy who likes to hang out with hot broads and sniff coke off their asses every once in a while. And he got caught.
He got caught for DUI too in the past. This is not his first time.
No. But he's young. He's got lots of money. He's a good-looking guy. He's getting all the pussy. He's got all the money in the world. He's the fucking champ. He's the toughest guy on the planet. Like, he's going to get into trouble.
The guy likes to party.
He likes to fucking party.
He parties hard. I mean, we can all see that.
But is he a cocaine addict? I mean, would he be able to be performing at the level he performs on a regular basis?
If he was snorting cocaine every night?
If he was, yeah.
No.
I mean,
I think he
come
just
on.
likes to party and sniff a little coke.
He likes to party. He got busted, and Dana's trying to save some face.
And let's face it.
Or he's just really trying to follow in the footsteps of Chuck Liddell.
Well, you think so? I mean, Chuck.
Hey, if you're gonna go all out.
Yeah. Have you ever read his book? I read Chuck's book. He came out with a book a few years ago. And
I didn't know he could write.
Yeah, well, he can talk and somebody else can write. hey, he's my favorite fighter of all
I'm
time.
teasing. I love Chuck Liddell as well,
But yeah, he there's a few stories about a few parties in his hotel.
Yeah,
rooms
well,
with a lot of broads.
Well, if anybody's just seen that video of him at the UFC event where he looked strung out and he looked like a T-Rex, all contorted. Remember, was reacting to the fight. I mean, you knew he was on something. Yeah. And then it was, of course, that morning show he did where it looked like he hadn't slept in 2 days and he was on another planet.
Yeah. But you're right. I think as a company, the UFC can't afford to lose their champion, especially the arguably the pound for pound best fighter in the world right now.
He's the most controversial.
And he brings,
he's bringing in, and I mean, right now, he's not bringing in the viewers the same way GSP did, where everyone wants to see GSP win, where everybody loves GSP.
Yeah.
Jon Jones has become kind of the
everybody wants to see him lose,
yeah. He's the antagonist of the UFC, and he's the champ, and he's the best in the world. I mean, he's the true heel of the UFC right now.
Yeah.
And it seems like he's finally embracing it, especially
after his fight.
But you know what? I know you weren't too happy, thinking, dirty tactics and what he said, and whatnot. But you know what? For once, it was refreshing to see a guy not like.
I have to agree, yeah.
That after the fight with all this feud, it was, it's okay, it was all to put on a show. We wanted to sell some tickets, and I respect the guy. No, I was like, I don't like the fucking guy. I'm glad I beat the shit out of him.
I didn't like him before, and I don't like him after. It's not going to change.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for being honest.
That I have to agree. That's all right. I just, at a certain point, though, as a champion, you don't have to like the guy after. But there's a certain sportsmanship that I think is needed, just a tad.
Yeah.
The crotch chop.
Yeah, that was a little
the raising his hands before the bell was done, and then fucking kind of sucker pin.
Yeah.
That I thought made him a big piece of shit.
But you know what? If you're gonna go, like I said, if you're gonna go all out, go big. And if we're never gonna see a rematch down the line, I mean, just it helps to keep the feud, the fire burning here in this feud, because I mean, how many times have we seen guys hug it out after all this shit talking, trash talking?
Every time GSP fights, he gets so much hate from his opponent because they try to get under his skin because they all know. And then it's like Nick Diaz, and they all hug it out after.
Rock Holden Bisping, right? Yeah. How much shit talking was there done before that fight? And at the end,
that was it. And they hugged it out.
Respect.
Yeah. It's refreshing to see sometimes. I've seen it twice. I've seen it in the fight this weekend, when I saw it a few months ago. I can't remember who it was, but they still talk shit after the fight. I don't remember who. I think it was Matt Mitrione. He got called out by this new kid, and he knocked him out in like 13 seconds. And then after that, he's like, dude, you're going to call me out, I'm going to, make you pay. Especially the guy wasn't really worthy of a fighting. I mean, Mitrione is not a top-notch fighter, but the other guy was even lower.
I don't know if you look at the rankings in the heavyweight division right now, but Mitrione's on the verge of being top 5.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That tells a lot about the... I'm pretty sure the UFC right now is screaming in their pants, waiting for Brock Lesnar to be done with WWE so they can fucking sign him.
Yeah.
But
if Scott Coker doesn't steal him first,
Scott Coker is ready to throw money bags at these guys.
He should.
They got more money than UFC, I'm sorry to say, because Viacom is a fuck. I mean, maybe not, because the Fertitta brothers own like 25 casinos and they're billionaires. They're really billionaires. It's been confirmed. But, I mean, Viacom is pretty fucking big. And, I mean, I heard the rumors also they're trying to sign that Del Rio guy from the WWE.
Oh, Alberto Del Rio. Yes, yeah. Right.
The fuck, man?
Alberto El Patron. Well, he used to fight. I mean, he was a legit MMA fighter.
Really?
Yeah. Back in the day, he's a lot older than probably most people think. He's like 37, 38 years old.
He's in late 30s.
But and his wrestling career was, existed way before he entered the WWE. He fought as Dos Caras, was very well known in Mexico.
Yeah.
And he went out and he's fought in Japan. He fought for Pride with the mask and all. He's fought Mirko Cro Cop.
Fuck off.
I swear to God, he got his ass kicked, but he fought Mirko Cro Cop.
I'm a bit pissed that I don't know this. Because as both a WWE fan and a MMA fan.
I think he was like 7-2 or something.
Wow. Okay, well that makes sense. It's not like a CM Punk signing.
No, exactly. At least this guy's got experience, like legit.
Oh shit. Oh my God. He's 9-5.
Oh, there you go.
Oh Jesus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He won 6 fights in a row before losing his last fight. In 2010. Wasn't he in WWE in 2010?
I don't know. It seemed like
Just before.
maybe it might have been
after.
just before, because his stay in WWE was not very long. Though I guess the fact that
He fucking fought Crow Cop in 2003 at Pride Bushido 1. He lost by head kick, obviously.
and he wore his luchador mask.
Fuck off.
I swear to God, he's fought MMA with the luchador mask on.
Okay. Now.
You can find the fight on YouTube. He got head kicked. Boom.
Oh my God. There's a picture right here. It's not. It's like a what the fuck? It's like a mask, but you can see his eyes and his mouth. Oh, this is so fucked up. Japan was crazy.
Yeah.
Pride was out of their fucking mind, man.
Speaking of which, last couple, we talked about, I've kind of like renewed my interest in wrestling somewhat. Or
Yeah,
at
me
least,
too. Full
especially
blown.
I got a 24-hour free preview of the WWE Network, and I was like, this is awesome. But so I watched Wrestle Kingdom 9, which is like Japan's WrestleMania, and they had it at the Tokyo Dome. And it's
The recent one? Or?
yeah, this was last weekend, I believe it was. I watched it
Oh,
the other day.
shit,
I found
okay.
it online. And it's just they put on a show like no other. I mean, it takes you back to Pride. I think they even have the same girl, the announcer who did Pride. I think she does it for them too. The crazy one who would scream out the names.
Professional wrestling in Japan is
But
massive.
it's such a grand spectacle. I mean, from the Tokyo Dome. I mean, it looked like it was sold out.
Like
It's
45,000 people.
just, at least, I guess. But I mean, it just goes to show, like, they everything is so big and over the top in Japan. So
Not only that, but they have a lot of Japanese wrestlers that cross over into MMA and then back into wrestling.
yeah, well, Sakuruba was on
Yeah.
the fight card, and he fought in a fight where it was wrestling, but with like MMA rules, kind of.
Yes.
So you saw a lot of submissions and
That's
straight
right.
up kicks and slaps.
Josh
and stuff
Barnett
like
used to fight in
Yeah.
Japanese wrestling all the time.
right. Yeah.
Professional wrestling.
Yeah.
That's weird.
So,
But it's very entertaining. I've seen a
but
lot
that
of...
was a pretty good pay per view, though. I must admit, it was 3 hours of really fun wrestling.
Really?
Oh yeah, there's some fun stuff.
Yeah, I've renewed my love for wrestling. My girlfriend is falling in love with it, and we watch it now every Monday. I record if I don't have time, and my girlfriend watches. She's more into it than I am. Yeah, she's like, I want to go to a live event, and I want to be right on the side. I want to scream out. I'm like, you'd be there. I'd be sitting all the way here, and you'd be by yourself. She's like, I don't care.
I'll go with her.
I just want to scream at these guys. Yeah. She's in love with Roman Reigns. She just loves him.
Reigns.
I bought her a T-shirt for Christmas. I ordered it from the WWE shop. Gave her that as a Christmas gift. She's like, oh my God. She wore it like for 2 days straight after Christmas. Slept with it, woke up with it. I'm like, where? She was going out. I'm like, you're still wearing your Roman Reigns? She's like, fuck yeah, I'm wearing this.
It's my new lucky shirt.
Yeah. So it's weird because I used to watch it. Like sometimes I just put it on. She's like, what are you watching? You're watching wrestling? And then she'd be on her phone. She'd really pay attention. And just like in the last few months, she's like, oh, who's this guy? Oh, I like this guy. And then that was it. That was it. We watch every pay-per-view now. It's like, yeah, I'm back at it.
Yeah,
But I must admit that they're struggling. If you're a wrestling fan, I'm having a hard time with the storylines, and
yeah, I mean, it's been so bad for so long.
they don't give the fans what they want, and that's really, really apparent lately. They kind of just have their vision, and they had Vince McMahon was on the Stone Cold podcast, which I listened to, and Stone Cold straight out told him, he's like, you don't seem to be giving the fans what they want. And Vince McMahon is all about pushing it's sports entertainment, right? And Stone Cold was like, but you still need some wrestling.
Yeah.
There seems to be too much of the entertainment factor and not enough of the wrestling factor. And when they're wrestling, a lot of these guys don't have the pedigree of wrestlers. It's like Bret the Hitman Hart, which was a great wrestler, Chris Benoit, which was a great wrestler. All these guys that were great wrestlers, technical, there's not many technical wrestlers anymore.
No, maybe with the whole NXT thing and how Triple H and Regal are booking that, it seems to be. I mean, the show last pay-per-view I saw was some of the best wrestling I'd seen, at least to come out of WWE in a long time. So hopefully that's
which
setting
one?
them
The
in right
NXT
direction.
one, you mean?
NXT.
Yeah, they have a shitload of talent.
Revolution or whatever it was called. Yeah, I mean, just between Sami Zayn and Adrian Neville, now they got Kevin Steen, another local guy from Quebec here.
Yeah, Kevin Steen's from Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu.
Yeah. So hopefully that'll set him in the right direction. And
I hope they just don't push him to it, because I've seen that sometimes where they'll bring a talent from NXT on the Raw for like one appearance, and then they make him lose, and you're like, why are you doing this?
Yeah,
are you trying to push
totally,
the guy? Like
you're derailing all the momentum. Now, I've heard something about they want him to feud with Sami Zayn for a better part of the year for 2015.
Yeah.
Keep them in NXT, really build them up, which is cool. But I don't know. Let's hope it goes in the right direction, because like I said, I watched this Japanese show, Wrestle Kingdom, and it was just like it blew the wrestling away. It was like head over heels above what WWE is putting
technical.
out. It's just unbelievable. It's fast paced. It's stiff. I mean, when these guys are kicking and chopping each other, are straight up punches to the face. Some of these guys, like, they call it the king, not the king of the stiff. That sounds bad, eh? But
the king of the
anyway,
stiff.
I forget what the term was, but for one guy who fights, like, he's known to fight very stiff and very hard, and fuck yeah, they were literally like punching each other closed fist to the jaw straight up.
Oh my god, yeah.
You know, just really putting on a show, giving you something that you don't typically see.
I think I read something or was listening to an interview where they were doing a wrestling match. I think was Ric Flair, and he went to Japan for a while, and the guy that he was wrestling was basically hitting him. He's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, I mean, and he was hitting him for real. Like, dude, like, this is wrestling. And they kind of started fighting for real. I don't remember if it was Ric Flair, but it was somebody. They basically started fighting for real, and he ended up breaking the other guy's nose, and to have him like, dude, are we good now? I don't remember if it was Ric Flair.
Have you ever seen the video of Vader? Remember Big Van Vader?
Yeah.
When he fought Stan Hansen in Japan?
No.
At the beginning of the match, Stan Hansen, who was known to be a stiff worker, he's twirling around. He's got a cowbell on a lasso kind of thing, and he's spinning around over his head. He clocks Vader right in the face, busts his nose before before the match even starts. So Vader, pissed off, decides he's going to work extra stiff.
Oh my
Watch
God.
that video on YouTube. They're literally pummeling each other with forearms, bang, bang, to the face. Vader's eyeball actually pops out of his fucking head, and he pushes it back in with his finger during the match. It's just insane. It's one of those matches where, like, you know, everyone's always talked about it. And that's another thing with wrestling, is that I'm realizing that everything is online. I mean, already the fact that YouTube's got a lot of shit, but now WWE has a lot of their own videos from the WWE YouTube page.
Really?
Which basically, it feels like a light version of the WWE network, let's say. But they've got some cool videos, and they'll show you old stuff, and they have everything now. Their video library is huge.
Yeah. I see a lot of top 10s on YouTube.
Stuff like that. Yeah. And
that-
they'll have like debuts of guys you never knew, like fought on Raw like 15 years ago. Guys like Dean Ambrose, like who had fought in WWE like a long time ago.
Yes.
They gave him a tryout. I had no idea.
Gene-
To be honest, at first I liked him, but I'm starting to think he's a little overrated.
Dean Ambrose, he is a bit overrated.
Yeah.
Do you know that Bray Wyatt is who's his father?
I do know, but I can't remember.
The
You're gonna say
IRS.
it. That's it. Yes.
Erwin R.
Erwin
Shyster.
R. Shyster.
And do you know who's his brother? He's in the WWE as well right now.
Is he really?
Bo Dallas.
Oh, really? That I did not know.
They're brothers.
Really?
Yeah. And if you look at the next time you look at Bray Wyatt and you listen to him talk, if you've heard Bo Dallas talk,
This Bo Dallas guy, I've only seen him like once.
he's injured
or twice.
right now.
He's
yeah,
injured. eh?
yeah. They were pushing him big, and then he injured his foot. He's apparently a better wrestler than Bray Wyatt.
But he's small. He's a smaller guy, is he not?
But if you look at him now, I saw him this Monday. I was watching Raw, and he was cutting a promo. And then I'm like, dude, if I close my eye right now, he sounds a bit like his brother. His voice, and then you see his face. Take the beard away and the chubbiness, it's definitely him. But I was surprised. I learned that on the Stone Cold podcast as well. He was on, and he was discussing his father. I'm like, I didn't even know he was a second generation.
Rotundo. That's it. Mike Rotunda.
Yeah.
Is the IRS's real name. That's right.
Bray Wyatt is, what's his name? Rotunda.
Wyndham Lawrence Rotunda.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's probably related to Barry Windham too, then, right? Oh,
His-
that's right.
his-
Yeah,
his uncle
Barry Windham was
or
his
cousin,
uncle.
yeah.
There you go.
Because
Grandfather's Blackjack Mulligan. I mean, geez,
yeah, it's third generation fighter.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see.
It's interesting.
It's definitely in his blood, eh?
Oh, man. So back to this, just to end on this Jon Jones fiasco. What everybody seems to be on the same page about this is that a lot of people want to see some sort of punishment or some sort of, but like I said, I think a lot of people are on the same page as me where they kind of see the same thing as I see, where they want the UFC to just, this thing to go away, people to forget about it. They got their fingers crossed that somebody else is going to be popped for a PED, or somebody else is going to stab somebody, or somebody else is going to beat someone's wife. They're just praying because I don't mean to be mean, but I think if it happened today that a non-champion would come out in some sort of controversy, they'd be like, oh, thank God. Can everybody forget about Jon Jones?
Maybe that's why they rehired Rampage.
That's another...
He's gonna be their new scapegoat.
All right, Rampage. Go out there and fuck up.
Do something crazy.
Here's 18 Red Bulls. Down those, then go in your truck and get arrested. There you go. See you later.
Don't forget to put your face on the hood.
Yeah, exactly.
Giant decal.
It's Rampage. But yeah, so... let's hope that the UFC does, because at the end of the day, I don't really care who the fighter is. I'm not a fan of Jon Jones, but I'm a fan. He's a great fighter. I can't deny the fact that he is probably right now the best fighter in the world. But I would, as a company, I would like the UFC to keep their integrity and do the right thing. You can't treat fighters differently because of who they are. You will, but you should not. You shouldn't treat a Nick Diaz differently than a Jon Jones. If you're going to suspend a Nick Diaz directly because of he smokes weed, he doesn't show up to this. Because remember, Nick Diaz, I mean, not only the weed thing. I mean, the weed thing was from the Athletic Commission, but I remember, if I remember correctly, he was supposed to fight, and then he got pulled from the title fight because he didn't show up at the, right?
Yeah.
That happened, right?
Right, yeah.
It was against GSP?
GSP, yeah. And that's when they threw Condit in the mix. Isn't that how that happened?
Yes, and then GSP got injured, and then Diaz ended up fighting Condit for the interim belt. That's what happened.
Yeah.
They threw Condit against GSP. GSP got hurt, then they threw Diaz back in the mix.
Yeah. Yeah, and then people were claiming that GSP was faking it because he didn't want to fight Condit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So yeah, and by the way, I don't know if you've watched UFC 82 last week.
Yeah, last week actually was the first pay-per-view I've watched. I didn't watch all the prelims, but I watched the entire card. It was the first time I watched an entire card.
Shittiest pay-per-view in a long time.
Let me tell you, it did not put me back in their good graces.
Shittiest pay-per-view of the year.
I know, it's bad.
All right.
What did you think of the actual Cormier-Jones fight? I mean, is it just me, or it looked like it was a T-Rex fighting a raptor? Like,
I like the first two rounds. I like the pace that DC was putting on. I could see that he was having a hard time getting in, and I could see that Jon Jones was working extremely, extremely hard to keep the distance.
Yeah.
He was, and when Cormier was coming in, he would land the elbows perfect, typical Jon Jones fashion, kept him away. Was surprised at how easy Jon Jones broke Cormier.
Yeah.
He broke him.
He broke.
Third round, he got these 5 takedowns.
Like I said, look at the size difference. I mean, it was
massive.
I mean, what was it? There was a foot difference in reach.
I don't know if
there was 5-6 inches in height, and then 12 inches in reach. I don't know. Like, he had his moments with the dirty boxing, little Randy Couture style,
but he wasn't strong enough to keep him there.
But no, and
Jones
took those uppercuts, the same punches that knocked out Giant Silva a few years back in Strikeforce. Those uppercuts in the clinch.
Yeah.
I mean, Jones brushed those off. Didn't seem to
the
face
same
him
thing that
at
injured Mir. He did the same thing against Mir. Dirty boxed him.
Well,
he didn't finish Mir, but Mir is not the fighter.
That was like a PG rated version of his dirty boxing, because God, that was just a lot of like stalling and pushing up against the cage more than.
Did you watch the weigh-ins?
Yes, I believe I saw them on Sure Dog.
Cormier didn't look good at the weigh-ins.
No.
I saw only I tuned in at the weigh-ins only when they were doing Jones and
I think
Cormier.
I only saw the pictures. I don't think I actually saw the video of it.
He didn't look good, man. He looked depleted. I know what a depleted guy looks like. I know what he looked bad. And I'm not the only one that says it. I've read, I've heard. It's been comments on the internet. He looked bad. And I know he's a small fighter, but I think he fights better at heavyweight. I think the weight cut just doesn't help him.
Yeah.
I could not imagine that Cormier was going to gas out, and he was gassed out by the third round.
Yeah.
And it's not like Jon Jones put a pace. I know Cormier was trying to put a pace on Jones, but you fucking trained with Velasquez. I mean, who else puts a bigger pace on any fucking fighters than Velasquez? Velasquez can go 10 rounds, barely break a sweat. You're training with him every day. I think it also has to do with the fact that Velasquez was injured and that he might have not trained a lot with Cormier. That might have had to do with that. But the card was shitty. It was every fight went to distance, every fight, and the best fight. It wasn't a good fight, but the best fight was probably the Cerrone fight.
Yeah.
Cerrone fight.
If you're a fan of leg kicks.
Talk about Cerrone. He's fighting on 15 days, 2 fights in 15 days. He's fighting. And it's not like he's fighting a mid-carder. He's fighting the former champion.
Yeah.
A guy that's beat him twice.
Yeah.
Bendo. In 10 days, whatever it is, next week, he's fighting this guy. I don't know how they do it. The commission allows it.
I don't know. This guy's a machine.
He doesn't give a
He's
fuck.
on pace already. He's only been in the UFC now for what, 4 or 5 years since they absolved WEC. He's already on pace to have total wins. He may end up in the next 2-3 years breaking. I think is it Tito Ortiz has the record for most wins in UFC,
17,
something like that. Anyway, he's on the verge of breaking that record. He's on the verge of having the most wins, most fights. It's just ridiculous. The guy fights 4, 5, 6 times a year. It's unheard of.
He first fought at UFC 126 against Paul Kelly in 2011.
Yeah.
Okay, he's fought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15 times.
He's fought 15 times in 4 years.
Yeah, and he's got.
Not even 4 years. We 2015 just started.
He's 12-3.
12-3
in the UFC. That's and he's. I mean,
and he's what, 28 years old? How old is Cerrone? He's not that old.
31.
31.
Still,
he could fight another 5-6 years easily.
He's easily going to break the record for most wins in the UFC, unless he goes into a slump. But the way he's fighting right now, if I had to bet on because Anderson is kind of in a slump right now.
Yep.
Got knocked out by Dos Anjos, and which is fighting for the title next, by the way.
Yeah.
Because the Russian is not ready, he's injured.
Yeah.
So, which
Khabib.
we truly know that he's the number 1 contender.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he's injured, so he's probably going to fight the winner of both, which is good. I think Pettis needs to be more active. If there's any fighter of all the champions in the UFC that the UFC should capitalize, it's Pettis. He's somewhat of a likable, but he's also a lot of people don't really like him. I don't know. I don't really mind him. He's not my favorite champion he's not my favorite fighter in the UFC. But they should push the one because 155 is the perfect balance of entertainment and technique and strength. Guys get knocked out. Guys are extremely technical, and Pettis can finish a fight in a blink of an eye. And he demolished Melendez. But Cerrone fighting twice in 15 days, it's unheard of. I don't think has there been a fighter that's fought on shorter notice than that?
Other than Jeff Monson, I don't know.
But I mean,
he fights every other day.
That's fucking crazy, man. It's crazy, especially for the caliber of fighters he's fighting.
No, that's it. Like you say, he's not coming off a fight with a scrub and taking on another scrub.
He dominated Miles Jury, though. He humbled
Miles Jury,
him.
the next big thing, or at least they were hoping, derails that train.
Well, it might make him it most likely will make him a better fighter.
Oh, hopefully. I mean, the guy was bound to lose at one point.
Well, yeah, he was undefeated, and he's fighting Cerrone, a guy that's been there, done that. And he's probably the best fighter that hasn't been champion yet, right?
Yeah. That's a pretty fair statement.
I mean, you could say Cormier is one of those, but Cormier hasn't been there he hasn't been in the UFC enough. Plus, he's been between the lightweight and the heavyweight.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of fighters that are. I mean, you could say the same for a lot of fighters, but I don't know. He's fucking good. He's talented, and when he's on, he's on.
Yeah.
Most of the times when he loses it, he beats himself. He's either not motivated enough, and that's the thing I like about him right now. He's fucking motivated right now.
Oh yeah.
He'll fight anybody, anywhere, any time, and that's a bad combination for his opponent. So I'm excited to see that fight. So all in all, this week has been not a good one because I don't think the ratings were good for UFC 182 for the UFC. I don't think they did many. as much buys as they, because on paper, I mean, for fuck's sakes, was probably one of the top 10 biggest fights in UFC history. If you list, I mean, you think about it. I mean, you got the pound for pound biggest fighter versus an Olympian. They definitely pushed it that way. If you listen to Rogan,
they pushed it, and I mean, the feud the two had going, I mean, definitely helped and added.
The feud was probably one of the biggest, maybe one of the top 10 feuds in the.
But like I said, I mean, just going into the fight when they announced it beforehand, it was just like, how is he going to compete with a guy who's got that much of a reach and a pedigree?
It's hard to pick against. Yeah, it's definitely hard.
I mean, as much as, like I remember my brother's like, does Cormier actually have a chance before the fight started? And I'm like, people say he does, but I can't see how he's going to do it with the size difference between the two. And it's a shame. I don't know. It's
a shame. It's a shame because
on paper, like you say, I mean, yeah, it was definitely both of them, the pedigrees were there. The criteria was there to make this a match made in heaven for anybody who was like hoping to see somebody maybe beat
Jones. Who beats him now? Gustafsson is the only one that.
Yeah, I guess Gustafsson now.
Unless Gustafsson gets knocked the fuck out by Anthony Johnson.
Yeah, that's right. You mustn't forget him,
dude. If he beats Gustafsson, the guy's got knockout power in the 205 like no one else.
But he's got no gas tank either, though. His gas tanks.
It's better at 205 though. I think. But yeah, he's never fought a 5-round fight, but this fight is a 5-round fight. The Gustafsson fight. It's the main event.
Yeah.
So we might see him go 5-round. That might be his, his thorn. If we see him do good for 2 rounds and then he gasses out for the last 3 rounds, then we know, okay, this guy can't go the distance.
No, Johnson's the type of guy. I think he's got to swing for the fences.
But he can use his wrestling against. Gustafsson's strong, but he lost to Phil Davis. He got submitted by Phil Davis, I'm not mistaken, and Phil Davis out-wrestled him.
Yeah, that's right.
And Johnson,
but again, a big difference. Johnson's he's not 6 foot tall, is he? Isn't he a shorter light heavyweight?
No, he's like 6'2".
Is he really?
Is
that guy ever fucking fight at welterweight?
Anthony Johnson. He's 188, 1.88 meters. How big is that?
What does that mean?
I'm 1.8. He's bigger than me.
Oh yeah, you're right. 6'2".
6'2". Yeah, because I'm 6 foot.
Ever fight at 170?
Oh, that blows my mind. I saw a picture of him this week, or they had like a press conference of some sort. He looks like he's 240 fucking pounds.
Insane. And Gus is what? He's 6'4". Same height as
6'5". No,
6'5"? He's a bit taller than Jones?
No. He's taller.
He's taller, right?
He's Gustafsson was as tall as Jon Jones. No.
That's what I'm assuming, or if not a bit taller.
He's 1.96 meters, which is 6'5".
6'5", yeah.
Yeah.
Jones is 6'3", 6'4", right?
Yeah. It was but definitely, I mean, I wouldn't pass the reach. He has a 79-inch reach, Gustafsson, which 84 for Jones, right?
Mm-hmm. And Johnson's got a 78-inch reach.
Yeah.
I see.
These black guys have fucking long reach.
I'm built like that too, though. I got like long limbs and like a short torso.
But it's not the limbs. It's. I think it's the width of his here as well, right?
Well, it's from arm to arm, right?
Arm to arm, but this plays a factor here.
Well, it's true. Yeah, exactly.
If you're skinny
that's
here,
right. That's right.
He's built like a fucking V shape.
Yeah,
like it's like, bah, and then that's why they definitely the muscle mass. You look at Johnson; he's just built like a brick house.
He's got such a big head.
Huh?
He's got such a big head.
I don't know if his chin's ever been tested. Has it? Vitor Belfort tested it. I think but he also was fighting at 185 and didn't make weight and almost died when he made weight for that fight.
No, I'm seeing here he's only ever lost. Actually, you know what? His 3 losses, other than the stupid eye poke there against Kevin Burns, all rear naked chokes.
Yeah,
he lost to Josh Koscheck, he lost to Vitor Belfort, and he lost to Rich Clemente, all via rear naked choke. Interesting.
If I was Gustafsson, I'd be working on my jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
jiu-jitsu. On jiu-jitsu. I put you jiu-jitsu, I put you rear naked choke. I put you down, pass your guard. What else been going on this week, man? It's crazy week.
Crazy shit in Paris.
Yeah, that's fucked up, man. That is fucked up.
Yeah, and
they killed the guy yesterday, though.
Yeah,
the
they
two guys?
they killed the two, well, three of them. No, two brothers. Now it's just the chick who's on the run. Apparently,
Yeah,
there was two
but
twins,
okay.
twins, a third guy, and the third guy's wife. And
But
now she's on the run.
Are they connected?
Yeah, they all worked. Yeah, the three of them. Yeah,
So all four were at the Charlie Hebdo.
the three of them, the three men. Not the woman wasn't there, but the brothers and the other guy
Really?
were there.
Okay, I thought it was just the brothers that did the shooting.
Yeah, there was three.
So they went in, they shot the people. Then on the way out, they shot two cops.
yeah,
Then they left. Then it was a manhunt for this whole time.
and then and then there was a whole hostage situation yesterday where 4 other people were killed.
Oh shit! There's other. I didn't think they killed the hostages.
Yeah, 4 of them died. Yeah.
To the hands of who? The terrorists? Okay, they weren't like shot and like they got in the way.
No.
Oh,
and that's I guess when the cops said enough is enough, and they fucking burst in. It's fucked up. I don't know. It's touching on a subject that now the line is kind of blurred. I think, at least in my eyes, regarding what are we allowed to say when we talk about free speech. At a certain point, when does free speech cross the line and just become antagonizing somebody and kind of, I don't know.
You're talking about what Charlie Hebdo was doing.
Yeah, because
they were pushing the envelope. I had never heard of them. I googled Charlie Hebdo and I clicked on image, and all it showed was the covers of their magazine, and I was like, okay, I don't condemn what happened, but I get why.
You don't condone what happened.
I don't condone what happened. Sorry, I don't condone what
You're
happened.
growing your beard out, Steph. But.
Yeah, I don't condone what happened, but I can see why somebody with the mentality of a terrorist would attack them.
Well, yeah.
There's one of the most, I think the most popular one that was the one where you see Mohammed French kissing the actual guy that does the drawings on the fucking thing. Now, once again, for me, it's laughable. It looks funny. I don't give a fuck. It's free speech. I get it. But where do you draw the line where, okay, this is free speech. I can say whatever I feel. But are you dealing with hypersensitive people, or are you just dealing with people that are, you're basically poking the beast, going, hey, and then you go, oh, you bit my hand off. Why did you do that?
Yeah.
Well, I was just poking you. There's no harm in poking you. Yeah, but you're poking somebody that's known to blow themselves up. So I think there's kind of and one side you're like, this makes no sense. Everybody should be able to do or say what the fuck they want. But on the other sense, you're like, yeah, well, maybe.
This is a country that's banned the hijab, that's banned the burqa from wearing in public. I mean, there's a lot of tension between
a lot of racial tension,
between the French, non-Muslims and Muslims in that country. So yeah, I mean, they added a lot of fuel to the fire with every, image that they chose to draw up of Muhammad. Yes, they picked on every religion. They picked on politicians in general. It's not like they singled out Muslims and Muhammad, but still, at a certain point, it's kind of hard. I don't know. I'm really in a tough position because obviously, you can't condone acts of terrorism and obviously.
Because they make fun of Catholic religion as well.
Yeah, they've made fun of the Pope. They've made fun of everybody. It's not an issue of them only singling out the Muslims and Muhammad, but at a certain point, like you say, you're poking the bear, and don't be surprised when it does bite back. Christ, when they had to have 2 police officers full time working as private police for the staff of Charlie Hebdo and their chief editor. It just goes to show how. The place where their offices were burnt down years ago.
Really?
Yeah, in an act of terrorism a few years back. They burnt it to the ground.
And they did kill.
Is it worth it? In the name of free speech, was it worth it? What was it? Honestly, I don't find the images funny. I don't know. I kind of find it juvenile and not really. I like to say, I never heard of them. Well, I had heard of them, but I never really cared much of it. Paid attention, and then, like you say, you Google it and you can see enough images to see enough of their covers, and like, all right, whatever. It's kind of infantile. It's not all that funny. I don't know. Is it that provocative? Is it making me think differently outside the box based on?
But what's their agenda by doing this? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
They talk about just pointing out the hypocrisies and certain, Yeah,
but do you have to do it in such a way? Like, there's certain things that,
It's just defending their right to free speech and to criticize, and which is fine. But at a certain point,
Yeah.
are you criticizing? You're just mocking and insulting.
That's right.
And that's this. That's I read. I watched an interview on a French TV show. I don't know if you ever heard of the French comedian Dieudonné, who's been accused of being an anti-Semite and whatnot. No, and again, he's another guy where a lot of his comedy is like, well, you know what? It does sound really freaking anti-Jewish. So, but at a certain point, to say that this guy's been banned from talk shows, with all this shit because and he's associated himself with the guy who was in the very right wing, very staunch, almost fascist. What the hell they were called? The party, le Fond Droit, something like that. Anyway,
You're talking about Dieudonné?
yeah,
Okay.
he's associated with somebody who was with that party. Anyway, I'm trying to think. That was very, very like anti anything basically. That wasn't French, made in France. Very anti-Muslim.
Really?
Very anti this, very anti-Jewish. Anyway. But so then I was watching from a talk show where basically the host was saying, well, listen, because of what you've done, blah, 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 the jokes that you've said, I don't think it's appropriate. And I don't think I'll be able to invite you back on my show anymore. And you can see, but I'm just, it's humor. We have a right to, to joke about certain things, whatever happened to free speach.
But
And
he's
like,
a comedian?
No, but he's a comedian.
Okay.
But no, you're crossing the line. But then flash to another interview, more a recent episode where they're interviewing a French Muslim athlete. I don't know if he was a soccer player, and talking about, they're arguing about the right for the people at Charlie Hebdo, and him saying, yes, but there's freedom of speech and then there's respect, and they kind of have to both kind of work together. And they're saying, well, where's the harm in this, blah, blah, blah. Well, on the other hand, you're condemning the stand-up comedian for making anti-Jewish jokes and whatnot, to the point where you don't want him back on your show. But on the other side of the scope, you're okay with
Charlie Hebdo
making fun of just about every religion, especially the Muslims, and like, come on, grow a sense of humor.
I see the flip side of that.
So
I have more of a problem with Charlie Hebdo, if you ask me, than I have with a comedian, because I think when you're talking about comedians, there's a context. You're trying to be provocative and make people laugh. There's a lot of people, especially, there's a lot of comedians out there that say a lot of fucked up shit, but you have to take them in the context. Now, you could make the argument.
Front National, sorry, is the political
Okay,
party.
yeah.
I'm sure you've heard.
Yes.
Le Pen.
There's an argument to be made that certain comedians go too far, but it's the context in which you're going to a comedy show. If you're not open-minded enough to accept anything is said on stage are jokes, and some people use the provocative nature to get a reaction. But Charlie Hebdo, I think, is more of a is it a weekly? I don't know. Did they put out?
Weekly.
It's a weekly
it's a
thing,
weekly
right?
yeah.
At a certain point, it gets old really fast for people that don't really pay attention. Where are they doing this just to create attention, to sell magazines, which has to be part of it?
Yeah.
And what's their message behind it? Because if the selling magazine overtakes the message behind it, then it's a bit of you're being a hypocrite a little bit, because you're basically producing these images in order to sell magazines, not to really relate any type of message or comedic gesture, or I don't really know how to explain it. But like I said, I personally never really heard about Charlie Hebdo. I never read any of their magazines, and I'm not gonna now, obviously. But okay, but terrorism happens everywhere. That's another thing that happens. They've killed 12 people. I get it. I don't agree with anything that when it comes to killing people like that, but it happens all over the world every single day. We are talking about this because of where and who it happened to. We don't talk about the 30 people that died from a drone attack 2 days before in fucking wherever in Afghanistan or wherever. I'm making it up, but it's a valid counterpoint, and I think a lot of people are making that valid counterpoint where they're going, yeah, you guys are making this is like international news, but we never talk about the innocent people that die on a daily basis because of war and this and that. And I think that may be somewhat of a point for a lot of people. But like, again, it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. But how far can somebody go before someone says something? And terrorists aren't known to say anything.
No.
They just act.
Yeah.
They show up at your door with guns and they kill you. It's that simple. Other people, if these people were just making fun of Catholics, the Pope might address them in a speech somewhere, and that's it. Mm-hmm. There's no Roman Catholic mafia that's going to show up at your door and start shooting up people. It's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. But you're poking the bear more often than none towards terrorist communities, and then when this shit happens, you're like, oh, well, this is a disaster. Yeah, but have you seen what we put in our fucking thing? We have security for a reason. There's, like you said, they had cops hired. There's a reason for that. Mm-hmm. They burnt down their building, and they're still doing this shit.
No, at a certain point, I can understand the philosophy mentality is that we're not going to give in and stop what we're doing because we've been doing it for 40 years and we've attacked everybody, but like I say, is from my point of view, like South Park, let's say, is a good example of somebody who's been able to poke fun. And just obviously one of the greatest works of satire to come out anyway of the United States and North America. And
they get away with a lot of shit.
But you know what? When they do something provocative, there usually is a message behind it. It's not just to poke the fucking bear.
No. At the end of the day, there's a message behind it.
And yes, okay, and people will argue, and those that were fans of Charlie Hebdo will defend that there was a message and a meaning. But a lot of the time, I don't know. It just seemed like there was a lot of just antagonizing, and at a certain point it's like you're just being disrespectful for the sake of being disrespectful.
But because they're putting so much emphasis on the picture that's on their cover, mm-hmm. and not about the story that's in their magazine. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's all about the picture. Mm-hmm. That's what's going to sell you the magazine, is what the picture is, or website, or whatever gets you a lot of clicks. There's not like people that don't know you just see the pictures right now. I've never read any of your articles. All I see is pictures and I go, Jesus Christ. No, there's a certain part of my brain that goes, no wonder you guys got shot up. Have you seen what you fucking put on your magazines? Mm-hmm. Like you said, you poke the bear, so you can only poke the bear so often before it fucking rips your head off. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. I might sound like a total, but that's just what it is. But again, I don't agree. I think acts of terrorism are disgusting, especially when it comes to just killing. I mean, it's ridiculous.
But like I said, you're offending people who are not known to be very tolerant and to use words. Like you say, they're not going to fight with words.
Yeah. I think in the back of their head, they must have known that at a certain point there was going to be retribution, like there was in the past. Like they burnt down their building, and one day somebody might come to your door and with a shotgun or with a rifle and mm-hmm. assassinate you.
I don't know. It's the whole thing. I mean, if you go remember back, was it the Dutch cartoon? Like, was it back in 2005 that decided to make a cartoon with Muhammad? Yeah, and then there was the attacks there, right?
With the one with the turban and the bomb, right?
Exactly. And
which that guy had to have, like, they wanted to kill that guy.
Well, people did die over this, did they not? The Muslim community does not allow, it's blasphemous to
draw your guy.
To draw Muhammad, to have any sort of physical depiction of him.
Which I think is ridiculous.
Why can't people just respect that? I mean, he's not the God that you believe in, sure, but what is it to you? What is it to you to come up with this cartoon? I mean, why? Yeah. At a certain point, like I say, it's what's the message here other than, okay, you're criticizing religion, but you know what? Nobody's going to change their mind. It's certainly not your cartoon's going to open their eyes to, you know what? This is pretty hypocritical. You know what? This is pretty silly. What have we been doing for
I actually read a Charlie Hebdo magazine, and now I'm not. I don't want to be a Muslim anymore.
I'm going to shave my beard and move to California.
Hey, don't associate.
Open a hemp shop. Open a hemp shop in California and shave my beard.
Yeah. That's I don't have a problem with Muslim. No, because I have to respect whatever. But
like I say, your fucking satirical cartoons are not going to fucking change anybody's mind. So other than just provoking and insulting, what are you accomplishing? I don't know.
Like, but again,
at a certain point, that's why I say the line is kind of blurred. At a certain point,
it is because, like you said. They at a certain point, it doesn't become about free speech anymore. It becomes about not giving in to the threats.
And I think that's more than anything. I think that's what's kept them going, and that's what's going to keep them going now. I mean, Google's said they're going to give them $300,000. The French government's going to give $1 million or whatever to get things back and running, and they want to keep this going. It's Charlie Hebdo will live on.
It's they're already working on the next issue,
and that's it. Now you can't give in. Obviously, you
Of
can't
course
give
not.
up. You can't show weakness, right? But then again, that's the same game they're playing on the other side.
Yeah.
We're
So
not
right
gonna
now,
give in.
what are you playing? Who trumps who the most often? Is that what's going to happen?
It's a deadly game of chicken. I don't know.
You're
Is that what it's
taking.
becoming?
You're playing with a lot of people's lives right now. Is what you're doing just to get your point across. People aren't going to be mad if you just go and shut down your magazine. I'm sorry. Maybe they would because they go, "Oh, you gave in." We don't. It's the same bullshit.
You know what? 12 people just fucking died.
We don't negotiate with terrorists. You ever see that every
So-
movie?
Sony
They're like,
did.
huh?
Sony
Yeah.
did,
So,
bro.
well, fuck. By the way, I watched the interview. Did you watch it?
I saw it, yeah.
Yeah.
It was all right.
It's hilarious. I mean, James Franco makes the movie. He's
His character is pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty funny. But I can understand why North Korea I'm pissed
Well, for the most part, Kim Jong-un was actually a pretty cool guy in the
Yeah,
movie.
until
it was
he-
actually kind of fun.
until he shows his real colors.
Until he snaps.
It's
But,
pretty funny.
But just like, are they ever going to get over the dick and ass jokes, though? Like, seriously? Like, the whole, like, sticking the thing up his ass? Like, really?
Oh yeah,
Like, have you not
How
gotten
much-
over the fucking ass jokes?
yeah. They don't stop with that.
They don't. They love it. Seth Rogen loves the toilet humor.
It's weird, huh?
At a certain point, it's just, all right. Like,
Gets old really
it
fast.
really does.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, that bit was a little stupid.
yeah. It kills his. Because I think I've seen him in other movies. He's pretty funny. You ever see Neighbors? You told me about Neighbors.
Neighbors? Yeah, Neighbors was pretty good. I like that.
It's pretty hilarious. But
It was fun seeing him as a different type of character, right? 'Cause
That's
he's
right.
trying to more of the straight character now. He's, he's a father. He's a husband.
he plays a different type of role. I see him differently when he plays the main role in a movie versus playing basically the backup.
The sidekick.
Yeah, because in this movie, I think his role is he's meant more of a sidekick type of dude than a main guy. I think he plays a better role like that.
Yeah.
Like whatever they call them, sidekick or they got a category
supporting
actor. Yeah, for that. I just got a note. It says here, MMA. Rory McDonald versus Hector Lombard should be main event at UFC 186 on April 25th in Montreal.
Oh.
I thought Rory was. Oh yeah, because he doesn't get the next title shot. That got taken away, so he was waiting.
You
for
got to
the
get
corner.
another rematch. They love the rematches in the UFC. I don't know.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, if I had to make a prediction, boring fight.
Yeah,
McDonald Lombard. It's gonna be 5 rounds of strategic.
of
Strategic
McDonald
MMA.
being very strategic and not
Both.
getting his face blasted in.
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a lot of moving around in circles.
Hector Lombard was last. Who did he just fight there?
He just fought. What's his name? Came back after freaking a million years.
Josh Burtman.
Josh Berkman.
Who? Why? Oh, because you went somewhere and became champion. Where did he go?
What was he in World Series of Fighting? Is
Yeah.
that where he was?
All right, and then
Beat
you
John
come.
Fitch. He submitted John Fitch.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, John Fitch
First
is
person to ever do that.
John Fitch is done. Sorry.
Yeah. Listen, I told you, UFC is fucked. They're in trouble. They signed CM Punk. They signed CM Punk.
Yeah.
They signed a professional wrestler who's 36 years old and has never fought in MMA ever.
Not only has he ever fought in MMA ever, he's never competed in any wrestling competition.
He's never had a full
competed.
spar. He's never sparred full contact.
Apparently, he's surprising at Duke Rufus. I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever.
Listen, I hope it's entertaining, but still, it's just to say that they're fucked. They don't know what to do right now. They are so screwed.
Well, do you know
We
that?
saw this coming how many years ago?
How many? Okay, let's do it right now because it's gonna be laughable. Let's go through. I want you to guess how many title defense were they in 2014. Okay,
There's
before I ask you,
there's like 9 weight classes now.
okay,
between the men
before I
and
ask you, there's 9 champions.
There is
right,
9?
including the women's champion. Right, you got 125.
You got 2 women's
135.
champion right now.
Oh yeah, it's true.
I guess I knew
So you got in the men you got 125, 135, 145, 155, 170, 185, 205, and heavyweight. So you got 8 champions just in the men's category,
Plus
then
2.
2
So
women.
now
So
we're
you
up
got
to
10
10.
champs. Okay,
10 champs. How
So
many
you got
title
10
defenses?
How many title defense should the UFC put on a year if you have 10 divisions, 10 champions?
At least 10.
At least
Fucking 10, right? If
But
not 20.
in my opinion, there should be between 15 and 20 title
Yeah.
defense a year. You have How many events? How many UFC events in 2014? How many?
Must have been about 35.
All right. So 2014 in UFC. All right. Let's go with title fights.
All right. So first, how many title fights there were? You've got all the stats in front of you here?
Yeah, title fights. There's
There was 1, 2, 1.
okay. How many do you think?
5.
No. I'm surprised by the number actually.
There was more?
There were 16 title fights.
Really?
In 2014, which I'm surprised.
5 is a little low, but yeah, 16 really.
Well, okay. The Ultimate Fighter 20 where they crowned the 150.
Okay, that doesn't count. That doesn't
But
count.
they counted as one.
Whatever, that
okay.
doesn't count.
So
All right, let's scratch that one.
there was Jose Aldo versus Ricardo Lamas at UFC 169. There was Barao versus Faber again, where Faber lost. There was Rousey versus McMahon. There was Hendricks versus Lawler. Jones versus Teixeira. Dillashaw versus Barao. DJ versus Bogantinov. There was Rousey versus Davis. There was Weinman, Machida, Dillashaw, Soto. DJ versus Carousel. Aldo versus Mendez. Verdum versus Hunt. That's interim though.
Yeah.
But still. Pettis versus Melendez. Hendricks versus Lawler. So Lawler and Hendricks happened twice last year. And Pettis defended the belt once. That's a problem for me. Okay.
Yeah.
Carlos Peroza beat Namajunas. And so, but it's.
Yeah,
it's a
and
title
then
fight.
the Demetrius Johnson fights, you can remove those because nobody cares about those.
Huh?
The Demetrius Johnson fights, they don't count. Nobody gives a fuck about
Yeah.
those
Like,
fights.
is there a division that nobody gives a fuck less than 125?
Like, who was the
pound
last
division?
guy he fought for the title? Who did you say? Chris Carriasso?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
There's only two guys that it matters, in my opinion, 125 pound division. It's Uncle Creepy, Ian
even
McCall. Even him, he's
been shit since
Yeah.
he came over. He's just fun to watch and he's entertaining. He's a personality and he looks cool.
There is, okay, what's 303 minus 258?
That's 45.
45 events in
There
2000.
were 45.
Yeah,
Damn.
45 or
45.
46,
That's a lot.
whatever. Because then you have to, 46 events.
So 1 in 3 events had a title fight. Essentially, if we just quickly.
Okay, I don't have a problem with having a free fight that you don't pay for, either on UFC on Fox or UFC on whatever. That it's free. If you don't have a title fight, your main event better be fucking good. But every pay-per-view should have a fucking title fight, and you should at least have 12 pay-per-views. So 16 title fights. I really thought there was less.
Well,
title fights.
you just said it. There's 10 fucking weight classes. That's 10 belts. Only 16 title fights. That's not that much when there's 10 belts.
Yeah.
Like you say, every belt hasn't even been defended twice in a year.
No,
I mean,
and the heavyweight belt wasn't even defended because Velasquez didn't fight last year.
Exactly. And like we said, and then we brought up not too long ago how many fights Cerrone's had. So a guy like Cerrone can fight 5 times in a calendar year, even 6, whereas some titles weren't even defended at all, or weren't defended more than once. Or we got the fucking rematches because, like we say, that's
Lawler
what we
and
do.
Hendricks fought twice, and now they're
And now we're gonna
defending
fight
again.
That's it.
I get that
I
the
hate that.
fucking
It handcuffs the division for 2 years between 2 fighters. It gives the fans the same fucking fight that we don't want to see again. Give us something. Give us a buffer fight in between.
they could. I get it. I agree with you, but without GSP, who else is going to pick up the slack at 170? They're just waiting for Rory McDonald to peak and be the fighter they want him to be, but he lost to Lawler already. He lost to Lawler. Is he going to beat him as he fights him again? Maybe. But I don't even know if he can really beat Hendricks.
Lawler's got the killer instinct. McDonald has not shown that killer instinct.
No. But Lawler didn't show it either in the last Hendricks fight. I thought Lawler didn't look that good. He won the belt. He looked better in the first Hendricks fight than he did in the last Hendricks fight. I think it was a closer fight this fight than it was the first time.
I think he had more to lose in the second fight.
Yeah, but I think
Second fight, he lose it, it's over. His title, he's not going to get another title shot. He had to I think they had to implement more strategy. Where the first one is maybe, who thinks I got a chance at this? I got to go all out. I got to go balls to the wall. And whether I lose or not, if I put on a good performance, at least I'll maybe get a rematch.
Yeah. The thing with the UFC that's killing them is mostly injuries. That's why they're not defending.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay? And it pisses Dana off because he doesn't have any control on how hard these guys train. And I'll be honest, I've been in gyms for the last 10 years. And I've been in good gyms. I've been in bad gyms. I've been in so-so gyms. And I've seen a lot. And I guarantee you there's a lot of it that happens in the gym.
Have you seen a lot of guys get injured training?
Yes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I've seen a lot of guys get injured, but I've seen a lot of guys overtrain, which leads to injury. It leads to injury. Not only does it lead to injury, it leads to a weak performance on yourself when it comes time to fight. And in the UFC, they have too often. This is what kills me. And I've tried my hardest to come up with a fucking way to make fights more entertaining, but at a certain point the talent pool in the UFC is so high that when you get the top tier fighters fighting each other, it's more often than not a boring fight because they're too fucking talented. One strength negates one other strength. And when it comes down to a title fight, too often do you see a guy that on its way to the top is fighting like a fucking beast. You're like, oh my God, this guy's going to be champion. He beats the champion. And then all of a sudden he's a different fighter. Now all of a sudden it becomes all about not losing than winning the fight. And the perfect example of that is Benson Henderson. Yeah. That guy was balls to the walls every time he fucking fought. He became champion. What happened? Safe champion. Safe fighting.
Well, same as
GSP.
Right? GSP. Yeah.
Balls to the walls. Boom. All of a sudden, you become champion. You go 5 rounds, and by jabbing your opponent.
Yeah,
I have nothing against GSP. I love him. I love watching him fight. I'll watch him fight every time he fights because I'm waiting for that fucking fire that he had when he fought Matt Hughes the second and third time. Remember the third time he fought Matt Hughes where he stepped in after he lost to Sarah? Remember that?
Yeah.
It was December 31st of 2008. I want to say. God damn that fight. He dominated the ex-champion. Fucking killed him, submitted him. I'm like, God damn, that's the GSP I want to see fight every day. He had a fire in his ass. Then he fucking fought Matt Serra in the rematch. He destroyed Matt Serra like he should in the first fight.
Yeah.
And then after that, he fought Jake Shields, a guy that he should have fucking steamrolled, and he jabbed him to death. He fought oh my God. I mean, but it happens. Or you get guys that have become champion. Like, I don't want to say because they're Brazilians, but like Brazilians, where they don't change anything. They don't adapt to their training camp. Their training camp stays the same since 1986. They cut weight the same way, and it bites them in the ass. It bites their performance in the ass, basically. I think, especially Barao. You saw it in Barao.
Yeah.
If you look at a Barao fight and they have those shows, the countdowns to the UFC 180 something. If you look at the strength and conditioning of Barao or any Brazilian fighter versus fucking TJ Dillashaw or a guy like, I don't know, any American fighter that trains in a huge camp, you see a big difference, man. People hire guys to just tweak every little thing. Yeah. Some guys don't. They keep doing the same thing. If it works, it works. I don't know, man. I think that the UFC needs more title fights, and they need to put on main cards that every single fucking fight on that card could be. Maybe not. At least the main event and the co-main event. I've always said that the co-main event could easily be a main event if it wasn't. Too often you see a huge main event and you don't even remember who fought on that card. I don't know. Just the main event. There was so and so in versus. Exactly. So it's
or they go the old school Japanese route and start putting together circus acts. And just start signing crazy things, so that when you get a guy like CM Punk, it's no big deal. It's like, oh yeah, okay, cool.
Oh yeah.
We got another circus fight for the next one, for the next event, and just start having fun with that. And let's just go crazy. Let's get Butterbean out of retirement. Let's go see if we can get like Jerry Springer to duke it out with like Maury Povich. Let's get the girl from like E Online to any other one from Entertainment Tonight. See, I'm sure they got a rivalry going.
I know you're being silly right now, but at the end of the day, if you're gonna sign CM Punk, there's so many other people you could sign that would pique everybody's interest, that are probably have way more of a chance of winning an MMA fight than CM Punk has.
Listen,
if you think about it.
Hey, Ed O'Neill threw out his challenge once again. We've talked about Ed O'Neill, of course.
He's a black belt.
He's a black belt, and he posted a picture on Twitter. If he threw it, he goes, last time I'm throwing out a challenge at CM Punk, and he's sitting on his couch with his black belt.
Is he really?
Wearing his gi, yeah.
Oh, shit. I didn't even see that. Because I made a joke about that a few podcasts ago where I go, he has more of a chance of winning an MMA fight than CM Punk has. He's an actual fucking black belt.
Yeah.
Yeah. He could eat, I don't know what CM Punk's pedigree is as far as jiu-jitsu. I know he says he's a white belt for life, but how good is he actually on the mat? There's a video of him submitting someone. Oh, he's submitting a Gracie.
Really?
A video, I believe. I might be talking out my ass.
It was one of the Gracie nieces.
Huh?
One of the Gracie nieces.
Even that. I mean, have you seen the...
Listen, I don't want to, CM Punk was the only reason I was still watching wrestling just before he signed with the WWE. I wasn't watching WWE. I was YouTubing ROH videos and CM Punk. And it was, when is CM Punk going to get signed for a WWE contract already? And then they revamped ECW. CM Punk became their champion. I love the guy. I thought this is, what wrestling is missing. And so I don't want to shit on the guy too much. I wish him success. It's just that on the whole, when you look at where the UFC is right now, and considering what Dana White has said in the past about other organizations signing guys with similar stature and mocking them for it, for now them to do it and say, well, what's the big deal? We're not going to put him in against anybody who's got a winning record or any experience. Then why is he fighting in the UFC?
Yeah, because...
You made Roy Nelson go through the Ultimate fucking Fighter.
You made fucking Kimbo Slice go through, and Kimbo Slice is more of a legitimate fighter than CM Punk. He actually won fights.
But you made Roy Nelson go through the Ultimate Fighter solely because he is fat. Forget the fact that he was an IFL champion. Forget the fact that he's fought guys like Andrei Arlovsky and fucking whoever else he's fought.
Dude,
and Ben Roethlisberger.
He's a legitimate MMA fighter.
A legitimate black belt, too.
Yeah.
But
I would have less of a problem.
And I don't know if he's going to appeal to everybody, so let's put him on the Ultimate Fighter instead of just signing him straight up to a contract.
I think more people than none like Roy Nelson versus hating him. I mean, they know he might not be a championship caliber fighter, but he's always entertaining to watch. You want to see the fat guy see what he can. The guy can knock the fuck out of anybody. He's got power. But why wouldn't you put CM Punk on the Ultimate Fighter? I think it would be a little bit more legit.
And people would actually give a shit about the Ultimate Fighter. Because I don't know about you, but I haven't watched that in years.
I watched the last one because it was all 120, 15-pound chicks. I wanted to see, chicks go crazy. They hate. Chicks are haters. You have to admit it. Chicks hate chicks, you know what I mean? Especially fighters, you know what I mean?
Yeah, what do you think about it? The Ultimate Fighter probably is the show that really probably caters more to a female fighter than a male fighter, considering all the drama and whatnot.
In my opinion, every Ultimate Fighter should be...
And they legitimately probably can't stand each other, right?
Yeah. I think every Ultimate Fighter should be women now, from now on. They shouldn't fucking have... And it just should cut the bullshit that like they do now. Ultimate Fighter, then after it's done, half the people that were on the Ultimate Fighter have a contract in the UFC. Cut the bullshit, man. The winner and maybe the other finalist gets a contract. That's it.
Yeah.
Fuck the bullshit, man. Don't have them everybody else fight on the card. You fucking get those guys out, because then it becomes the quality. Number one, what it does is that guys know that even if they don't win the show, they have a chance of getting on because I have a good record. I'm just doing this to show.
Let me be entertaining when the camera's on in front of me. And
No. Fuck that shit, man. You're gonna put 16 guys there. There's max 2 guys are gonna be signed to the UFC, and he just fucking sign one guy. The winner, that's it. Fuck everybody else. That's why you're running a show, right? You want to see the winner, and you want to give a 6-figure contract, just like you did the Ultimate Fighter 1. Although half of them ended up being in the UFC anyway,
Yeah.
right? And
Well,
ended up being
because
great
back
fighters.
then they actually had good fighters because it was the first season and there was a lot of untapped talent.
Do you imagine the card? Look at the Ultimate Fighter 1. You had Kenny Flo, you had Diego Sanchez, you got Chris Lieben, you got Forrest Griffin, Stephen Bonner, you got fucking Nate Quarry, you got all these guys. Jesus Christ, man. All guys that have gone on to have great MMA, UFC careers.
Mm-hmm.
And now you look at these fucking Ultimate Fighters. I don't know. They got guys fighting on UFC cards. Now, who's that guy? And they're like, oh, Ultimate Fighter finalist or winner. I'm like, he fucking won the Ultimate Fighter?
Who is this guy?
What?
Yeah.
But now they have Brazil. Now they have the Latino one. Now they have the nation. They're going to have a second nations one, I think.
Watch out for UFC Ultimate Fighter Luxembourg. That's going to be a big one.
What? Like, for a second there, I thought you were fucking serious.
All right. Game time soon.
Yeah, man. Is there anything else? Now we're at 20 minutes. Quick. I want to get just before we end. I want to get your take on the NHL's mid-season so far. We're halfway through. Mm-hmm. What do you think about the product that the NHL is putting on?
I think the NHL is. I think every year since the last lockout, I think every year just gets better and better.
Yeah.
To be honest, I mean, yeah. I mean, overall, and the crazy headshots and all that stuff seems to be starting to fade out as well. When's the last time you've seen something major regarding that?
A major suspension or major, their media. Yeah.
I mean, it's not that's kind of gone away. You're not seeing the crazy elbows to the unsuspecting opponent in every other game. The superstars are the superstars. The young kids. I mean, look at this year. I mean, not to be biased based on who I have on my fantasy team, but who would ever fucking think Tyler Johnson would be a top 10 player in the NHL? A 5'9" kid who was leading the AHL in scoring.
Yeah.
Who I don't even know if he was even drafted. Vladimir Tarasenko lighting up the NHL, highlight goal after highlight goal. Crosby's still doing his thing.
Yeah.
The big teams like Chicago are still doing their thing. A team like Winnipeg is succeeding despite their entire defense being defensive core being depleted. The outdoor game once again a big success.
Yeah.
On January 1st between the Chicago and Washington.
So as a product, you think that they're doing. I agree with you.
I think they're doing great.
Yeah, I think at the midpoint in the season, the NHL just seems to be doing the right thing and just getting better year after year. Being able to put a product, because if you look at the NHL as a product and not as a sport, like what are they giving people that makes them want to go back day in and day out? Why is it cutting out? It keeps doing that.
Yeah.
I have to address that. But yeah, I agree with you. I think the NHL is doing fantastic. I think they're getting more and more fans. I think they're financially doing great. I think they're talking about expanding, which is also great. Meaning that means the bottom line is doing fantastic. Mm-hmm. How about one last thing?
There's just so many stars in the league now.
Yeah. What do you think about the analytics, about the whole deal with the analytics and how big it was
and all that stuff?
How much? Remember how big of a big deal they made before the season because all these teams were hiring analytic guys and then I haven't heard of them during the season. I think it's died out because is it because they realized that it didn't really matter that as much as they thought it would?
The average person doesn't want to hear stats and numbers.
So they just don't talk about it. But
at a certain point, I remember towards the beginning of the season, the first couple of months, at least through until November, you were hearing a lot about, so and so's got a great Corsi rating and blah. And if you look at the number of shots, and then in between periods, they were trying to find, they have they overdo it a bit, like Sportsnet. If there's one thing, it's Sportsnet winning the contract for national broadcast in Canada.
Yeah,
it's kind of like every once in a while, it's like, fuck, see what is this amateur hour, but. Other than that, for certain segments, they're really trying to fucking drive home the whole fucking Corsi and shot attempts and this and that and the possession and all that crap. At a certain point, I think the average person, I mean, I've always thought of myself as a stats guy. As a kid, I used to love looking through the newspaper, just looking at all the stats for every team.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, it's like, fuck, enough.
But at a certain point, you can't really measure heart. You can't really measure drive.
No.
How much of a player is going to have drive and heart and determination? Mm-hmm. Those are things you can't measure. You can't put numbers to it.
No.
There's players that statistically in the juniors, they don't play well or they don't light up the board, but they fucking get drafted. They fucking play a few games and they fucking drive it. And you're like, God damn, that guy's a good fucking player.
Yeah.
He's not going to score 50 goals. He's not going to have 150 points, but God damn, he fucking hustles. He skates. He back checks. He's rough. He's tough. He fucking plays. He looks like he motivates his teammates. You can't, that's not a Corsi stat. You can't fucking measure that thing. No. And at the end of the day, when you're playing professional sports or any sports in that matter, it's the best players are always the most determined player, skilled player. Obviously, skill plays a thing, but a lot of times, heart and determination outplays those stats and those you shoot the fucking puck 13 times on goal. But you that's more, maybe I wouldn't say more often than none, but a lot of times that doesn't really translate into offensive prowess or whatever you want to call it.
I mean, you can look at some guys who got a 20% shooting percentage and the other guy's at 10, but you know what, the guy at 10%'s got 3 times as many goals.
Because he's good, and because he fucking drives the goal, and he puts himself in front.
He picks his shots. What can I say? He picks his moments.
Yeah.
But overall, though, yeah. I mean, hockey's been fun. World Juniors, successful once again, though I think they were maybe disappointed a little bit in the attendance in Montreal. But you know what? Don't charge $70 to go see Denmark versus Slovakia sitting up in the bleachers.
Don't get me started about that.
I hope
me and Mike talked about it yesterday, and we're like, they're fucking ridiculous. Dude, you're going to charge $300 in the Reds to go see juniors? No. More expensive than going to see the Habs?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. All right, before we end it up, your predictions. Baltimore, New England.
New England.
Perfect. You're a New England fan. I'll go with New England. Carolina, Seattle.
Seattle.
I'm going to go Carolina.
Oh.
Yeah. Green Bay, Dallas.
Green Bay.
Green Bay is also. Tomorrow, Indianapolis, Denver.
Indy.
I'm going to go Indy as well. Yeah. Who wins the Super Bowl?
The Pats. I'm not just saying, okay, I'll pick 2 teams just so I'm not too biased. The Pats or the Colts.
I'm going to pick the Pats.
No, fuck the Colts.
The Pats or the Green Bay Packers?
I'm going Pats or Seahawks repeat. How about that?
Seahawks, yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
People have been criticizing them, They don't put enough points on the board. You know what? But when playoff time comes around, they're going to play solid football. And if they win 12-3, they'll win 12-3. Yeah. But they'll win.
Yeah, they might. I picked Carolina, but I mean, I don't know. It's because I want them to win.
Yeah.
All right, folks, that's episode 27, the first of 2015. We're hoping 2015 is going to be a great fucking year for the Modern Maverick podcast. We're going to push it to the limit. Thanks again for listening. Check us out on the website, www.modernmaverick.net, on Twitter at Steph Paulin, PastephPaulin, and at JFlynn MTL, Facebook.com/The Modern Maverick. You got anything to say?
No.
No.
Go Pats go. How about
go
that?
Pats go. All right. Happy 2015, everybody. I hope this year is amazing for everybody. Lots of love to all our listeners, and we'll see you again shortly, very soon. Ciao.